So here we are outside Chester Railway Station awaiting the arrival of the Port Sunlight Parade. What is that? Well, it's a commemoration of 100 years ago when the largest force of men ever signed up to go and fight in the Great War. So here they are coming up behind me, and as you can see, I've already got a white feather. I'll not be joining them, but they'll be marching through the streets of Chester commemorating this event 100 years ago when 700 men from Port Sunlight signed up to fight in the Great War.
I'm very proud to see you here today in such large numbers, coming as you do from but one district of Cheshire. To show what the War Office thinks of your patriotic efforts, officers are being told off from the Brigade of Guards to meet you at Tidworth Camp and to do all they can to make your paths easy in the way of learning soldiering. You are attached to the Cheshire Regiment, and I know you will be proud of that. You have seen what casualties the Cheshire Regiment has endured and how excellently they have behaved in battle.
Having heard that stirring speech by General Mackinnon, I'm privileged here to be with Mrs. Mackinnon. We're going to have a chat to her. So, Mrs. Mackinnon, this seems to have been all about the men today, but how do you fit in?
Well, I have to support my husband. Of course, I don't get to go away with him, but all the women of Chester and Port Sunlight, they're going to find it very difficult. My husband, of course, has been in the Boer War, and so I've learnt a little bit on how we survive, but I think a lot of the women today will find it very difficult.
So here I am with Catherine Lynch, who I believe it's your brainchild and you put the whole thing together. It must have been a huge project.
It has been a massive project, but we've been very lucky. We've had some fantastic partners involved in the project, Merseyrail, Unilever, and of course, and most importantly, the Military Museum in Cheshire, and we really couldn't have done it without them.
Now, I understand that there were 700 men volunteering on this occasion. How many volunteers have you got taking part today?
Well, I think we've just about got 700 people. Of course, a few didn't turn up this morning, as is inevitable, but we had a few other keen people who turned up on spec and we were able to fill their places.
That's fantastic. Do you happen to know what the weather was like 100 years ago when this happened?
Actually, well, I believe it was a very nice summer, so I'm hoping that continued, but I don't know the exact weather conditions now, I'm sorry.
Well, you've certainly arranged a good weather day today, and that's a key thing for an organiser to do, so congratulations. Well, we've just heard a most stirring speech by General Mackinnon prior to the Port Sunlight volunteers being formally enlisted, and I've got General Mackinnon with me here. General, please could you tell me your feelings on this very momentous day?
I find it a wonderful testimony of the patriotism of this particular area of Cheshire. It's remarkable. It has set an example to the whole country. Our hour of need is now, and they have answered the call.
And am I right in thinking that these men will be turned into soldiers? They'll be sent straight off to serious training?
They will indeed. Because of the urgency, we have arranged that they are transported to Tidworth Camp this very evening to begin their training.
And how soon would we expect them to be deployed overseas?
It will be at least 6 weeks before we consider them able to go abroad.
And this is a very serious conflict the country is involved in. Can we really expect all these men to be returning to England?
I'm afraid to say that not only is our enemy better equipped with men, it has also modernized its equipment in a way that was not anticipated when we began this recruitment. I fear that the cost may be considerable.
Well, that's very honest. So we've heard the bells, we've heard the joyful singing, but really this is also a somber day.
It is indeed. The First World War is turning out to be a tragedy of the very first order. And every single individual who waits at home for a message from the front or a letter from their dearest ones has my full sympathy. I admire them from the bottom of my heart.
Well, General, I know you're committed to the cause and you have many important duties to attend to, so we thank you for your time today.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Here I am with William Lever from Portsunlight. Sir William, please tell me, how do you fit into this event?
Well, I've just said goodbye at Portsunlight to these 700 wonderful volunteers, and we're now going to march up to the Castle Parade and sign on, and we're going to listen to speeches by Sir General Mackinnon, and then we're off to, the volunteers are then off to Tidworth for training.
Excellent. Sir William, I wish you all the best of luck, and thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Having heard that stirring speech by General Mackinnon, I'm privileged here to be with Mrs. Mackinnon. We're going to have a chat to her. So, Mrs. Mackinnon, this seems to have been all about the men today, but how do you fit in?
Well, I have to support my husband. Of course, I don't get to go away with him. But all the women of Chester and Portsunlight, they're going to find it very difficult. My husband, of course, has been in the Boer War, and so I've learnt a little bit on how we survive. But I think a lot of the women today will find it very difficult.
Yes, this day has been quite stirring, stirring speeches, the bells, the bands, the singing. But really, there's quite a somber undertow to this whole thing because, if I can put it bluntly, you don't know for sure that your husband will be returning.
No, and it's very stressful. You just look from day to day and try to keep oneself busy. And there are the children, of course, that need looking after, and trying to help people as well, especially the people who are working and the women, we were told today, are going to go in and take their places, especially up at Lever Brothers. They were saying they're going to keep their jobs for the husbands, but the ladies were going to do the lighter work, what they can do.
Well, I wonder if this will have any long-term effects. I wonder if the women will start expecting different rights when their husbands return home.
I don't know. I mean, some sections of the women's society do, of course, want more rights, but I think perhaps they will want to do a little bit more, but whether they'll be able to, I don't know.
Now, you have a military background, as you say, and your husband served in the Boer War, so you've probably got realistic expectations. But I sometimes wonder all the excitement and the jubilation about signing up the new uniforms and so on. I wonder if some of the new men perhaps underestimate the dangers they're about to face.
I really don't think they know anything about it. There are a lot of, when they go abroad, there'll be hunger. They probably won't have enough food. It's very difficult to keep all the supplies going through to them, and I think it's going to be a very hard time for them. But we try to keep it at home. We try to keep the women positive and, encouraging and wanting to do the best for their husbands.
Well, absolutely. 700 men enlisting. Let's pray that they all return home.
I certainly do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hear the bugles calling, goodbye, Dolly Gray.
Well, Matt Baker, Mr. Music of Chester, I do believe. Now, could you please tell me how you and music fit into today's commemoration?
Well, of course, there's so many songs from that period that people know. The most popular being It's a Long Way to Tipperary, Pack Up Your Troubles in Your Old Kit Bag, but there's plenty more. And we know that 100 years ago, well, throughout the war, that songs are the things that lifted the spirits, that the soldiers would have sung in the trenches, and we believe that they would have been singing on the day when Lord Lever sent 700 of his men to sign up in Chester Castle. So we've been singing a lot of songs today. You can probably tell by my voice, it's quite hoarse.
Well, that seems a fair assumption that music would have played a huge role, but presumably also in marching, you need music for marching.
Yeah, and there's plenty of the songs from that time which you can march to. So there's obviously where pack up your troubles in your left, right, and but there was quite a few other songs which we managed to march to as well. Who were you with last night? Right, left, right, who, and so on. But yeah, we were singing and marching at the same time.
Well, Matt, I know you've added greatly to this event, so thank you very much for being with us.
Oh, it's been a real honour.
Matt Baker, Mr. Music of Chester. Now, Matt, can you tell me about some of the other events that you're going to be involved in and are coming up?
Yeah, well, of course, I'm Artistic Director of Theatre in the Quarter, and we're involved in two main events which commemorate the First World War, the centenary of the First World War. And one is we're about to embark on a county-wide tour of railway stations where we're doing a performance which reenacts that early optimism of the send-off. So that's happening around railway stations, Cheshire, North West, and we believe London as well, St Pancras. And that's followed by a touring piece of theatre which tells the amazing story of the Cheshire soldiers as they were involved in the Christmas truce on Christmas Eve in 1914. So there's two very distinct, very special pieces of theatre that we're doing in this season.
You are constantly innovating. You add so much to Chester, so I wish you all the best with all of those projects. Thank you.
Thanks very much.